Hey guys, it's Miss True Love this morning, and we're going to be doing another lesson. And today our lesson is on linking words, and it's not necessarily the most exciting subject in the world. So I tried to make our slides really colorful, and so I hope you at least enjoyed this part. Linking words are just something that's part of our language, and then when we know how to use it correctly, it can enhance and make our writing and our speech more complex and more grammatically correct. So let's just go ahead and get started for today. So first we need to know what exactly is a linking word. So let's imagine that you need to build a road to get home, and at a certain point you run across a river and you can't get across it. So what do you need to do? You need to build something that could connect one side to the other. So you're going to build a bridge. And so that's what you need to do in your writing or your essay, or good writers would do. You need to come up with words that will link or connect other words. And that's exactly what a linking word is. So we're looking at sentence connectors. And we see down here at the bottom, we got some linking verbs down at the bottom. And we see this chain, and that's kind of how you have to look at linking words, is that they connect things. They bring things together. And just like those chains, they're interconnected. They're used to link ideas from one sentence to the next. And they're used to give paragraphs some coherence, a good flow. And it can perform different functions. We're going to look at some of the functions, about 5 or 6 of them in our lesson today, of the function of linking verbs. They're usually placed at the beginning of a sentence. And they're used to introduce order, contrast, sequence ideas, theory, or data. We're going to go into a lot more about what they we're going to go through several that in our lesson today. So as you can see, I got this big word on the top of our slide. It's called a subordinator. And you're like, wow, that's a big word. What's that all about? So let's see what a subordinator is all about. They are linking words that are used to join clauses together. They're used at the beginning or the middle of a sentence. And just to clarify, what a clause is a group of words that must contain a subject and a predicate. You must have a subject and then followed by an action. And there's 2 different kinds of clauses. You can have an independent clause and a dependent clause. And we're going to talk about both of those as well. So let's look at independent clauses. Those are clauses that can stand out on their own as sentences all by themselves. Then we have dependent clauses that make no sense when they're separated by themselves. So at the bottom here, you can see I have a little graphic at the bottom, and it breaks down a couple sentences and shows you where the dependent clauses and the independent clauses are. Such as, if you subscribe to this online service, you will need a password. If you subscribe to this online service on its own, it doesn't make any sense. It's an incomplete thought. It's an incomplete sentence. So, but if we look at you will need a password, it's independent. You can have that as a sentence all by itself without the beginning part. You will need a password. That's a legitimate sentence. And taking it together, you see that, you can have an independent and a dependent clause in one sentence. When I read a novel, I look for careful attention to detail. When I read a novel is dependent, but I look for careful attention to detail can stand all on its own, so it's independent. Because the supplies were limited, toilet paper, hand sanitizer. The store ran out of the sale item quickly. Because the supplies were limited, it cannot stand on its own. It doesn't have a complete thought. But the store ran out of the sale item quickly can stand on its own, so it's independent. So when you're using these subordinators, these connecting words, you need to look and make sure that you don't have any sentences that are just incomplete. So you need to make sure that when you're using them that you have a independent clauses there, or if you have a dependent clause, you need to make sure you have an independent one that it's connecting to, so there's good coherence in your sentence, and it's just not becoming like what people call dangling clauses, where it can't function by itself. So that's why we cover that at this time. So let's move on and look at some of the different ways that we can use subordinators, how we can use these linking words. First of all, we can use them when we're giving a result. Therefore, so, consequently. This means that, as a result. So if you look at the sentence at the bottom of the screen, it said the family was growing. And then we have some of the words. The family was growing. And then we could add any of these linking words up here. Therefore, so, consequently, this means that, or as a result. We could say the family was growing, therefore, they were hiring a nanny. Or the family was growing, so they were hiring a nanny. The family was growing. Consequently, they are hiring a nanny. The family was growing. As a result, they are hiring a nanny. You see how that connects the family is growing to the fact that they are hiring a nanny. So if that makes sense to you, just think about it. It's just this is just one means of an area where you can use these linking words. Let's move on to our next, which is contrasting ideas. We have but, however, although or even though, despite the fact that, in spite of or in spite of the fact that, nevertheless, nonetheless, while, whereas, unlike, and in theory or in practice. These are just some contrast. When you're trying to show contrast, these are words that you would use. And on the side of your screen, you see another graphic. And I'm not going to go through all of these sentences, but these are just some good examples if you want to look through these. It says laptops are convenient, but on the other hand, they can be expensive. Even so, many old friends were shocked at the announcement. So even so. And some of these I didn't put over on the list, but it doesn't mean that the list on the side is an exhaustive list. There's many contrasting linking words. Life in the city is fast, whereas, that's not a word we use very much, but life in the city is fast, whereas life in the countryside is slow. Or you could have said life in the city is fast, however, life in the countryside is slow. Or life in the city is fast, while life in the countryside is slow. So many of these words are interchangeable where you can pick and choose which ones fit your particular style, because I don't think many of you are going to be using the word whereas, but if you do, you're going to look real smart. And people are going to be like, what? And smile because you know it. You're smart. In this slide, we're going to look at words that show in addition. And those would be words such as and, in addition, as well as, also, to, furthermore, moreover, apart from, and besides. And so when we look at this little graphic over here, it just looks like a nice little chalkboard that what somebody's written some sentences on. And so we're looking at those words, and we're going to see how they show in addition to something. So we look at the first sentence. It's cold outside, and it's snowing. So they're combining the sentences that it's cold outside, and also adding that it's snowing out. So they're just adding an additional fact in there. They can take the same concept and apply it to the second group of sentences. It's cold outside. It is also snowing. And we can also look at the last one. It's cold outside. Furthermore, it's snowing. So you could have also done it's cold outside as well as it's snowing. Or it's cold outside and it's snowing too. So you could use any of these words to show addition. So on this slide, we're going to look at sequencing ideas. And this is just putting things in order in the manner that they happen. So let's look at some of the words that are used to are linking sequencing words. The former and the latter. First, second, finally. The first point is, lastly, and the following. And so as we look over here in our graphic at the bottom of the screen, we can see it says they also have like first of all. To start off with, they also add the words initially or to begin with. Those are great ones I didn't put on the list over there too. But some examples of how you'd use that would be to begin with, I began my education in London. Or first of all, I opened the cupboard. Or to start off with, you get the idea. You're just using these things to show a progression of something that has happened in time. So you could use any of these, in your writing to, and many of these, like I said, are interchangeable because you could have said, the first point is I began my education in London. Now, I don't think we're going to say that, but because some of these words are just not how we speak. But knowing that you can use them is just the objective of this lesson, and to show you how you can use them, whether or not you use particular types of manners of speaking. That's a whole nother subject. Let's move on to our final, which is about giving a reason. We have due to the fact. Owing to, or owing to the fact that. Because of, since, as. You can see some on over here on my other little graphic over here that I don't have on the list, such as indeed. And then there's some examples at the bottom. I couldn't go to school yesterday because I was sick. Or I couldn't go to school yesterday due to the fact that I was sick. Or I couldn't go to school yesterday since I was sick. You see how these words they're interchangeable. Then you get into this real technical thing due to the fact that prices have risen. That's just really proper to me, but so I don't like that sentence too much, but it's there. You could say due to the fact that school is out, I don't want to think about that because I miss y'all. Due to the fact that school was out, we had a lot of time on our hands. Because school was out, due to the fact that school was out, due to the fact that school was out, I had to get a job. Due to the fact that school was out, you missed Miss True Love. Yes, it's true. Miss, due to the fact that school was out, Miss True Love missed her students very much. And that's how I'm going to end this lesson. Is yes, indeed, it's been a long time since we have had classes together, and as each day goes on, there's a hope that our time apart will be less, hopefully, and that we'll get back to just doing things as we normally would. And just know that if you need to reach me, you can reach me at truelove.catherine@jobcorps.org or at reading1@gjcc@gmail.com. You can leave me a comment on the Google Classroom, or you can even post something on the Gadsden Bulldogs page on Facebook. If you're having issues with the work and you can't reach me for some reason, reach out to your counselor or somebody else on staff, and they will put you in contact with me. I will be posting assignments on IXL, so just make sure that you check in there. And remember to take a little bit of time every day for yourself to do something to better yourself. Whether it's just reading something or going outside and walking so you can get some sunshine or whatever. But most of all, just keep yourself safe and keep yourself healthy. And hopefully we will be back together very soon. Love y'all. Miss y'all. Ta-ta.